Doodlebomb here with Sourdough Dingo Studios, and I'm going to show you how I made an Uncharted themed Pomodoro app, which I like to call Unchartadoro. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I made my own Unchartadoro productivity timer in Scratch. So I'm pretty new to programming, which is why Scratch is the perfect place for me to start. Scratch won't teach you how to type code, but it will teach you how to start thinking about the logic behind coding. And it does it visually so you can play around and make things work. And that's how I made this timer. I did not have any blueprints or anything. I just kept playing around and moving things around, and you can actually see where I did all kinds of weird stuff on the beginning test program that I have all left over, and the bits of code I liked, I then moved over to the finished product. So first, I should describe what a Unchartadoro is. And that is essentially my Uncharted version of a Pomodoro. And a Pomodoro is this productivity time management system where you do 25 minutes of focused work and then a 5-minute break where you don't work, and that equals one session. Once you've done 4 sessions, that then lets you have one long break, and that equals one Unchartadoro, or one Pomodoro if you're following the original technique description. So with that in mind, I essentially came up with 4 bits of code really, and 3 main images. One of them is just the reset button, which is pretty simple code. When this button is clicked, it will change the color of the button so that you know it was clicked. And let me make sure I've got this zoomed in. Alright. So when the sprite's clicked, it changes the color of the button so you see that it's reset. And then it does this forever. It waits a second, it switches back to the original color, so it's just like 1 second button press so that the user knows it worked, and it resets your session number to 0, Unchartadoros to 0, seconds to 0, minutes to 0, and then it stops this. And that's probably the simplest code on this whole thing. So the main code, though, is going to be with our very first coin, which, if you're an Uncharted fan, you will recognize from the 4th Uncharted game. And first, I have this coin show when the green flag is clicked. And that's important because I'm pretty new to coding, and I didn't know how to code one thing to do multiple things yet. So instead of figuring that out, what I ended up doing was I really only needed 3 main things to happen. I needed to be able to start a session, start and finish a break, and start and finish a long break. And so what I ended up doing was I attached all of that code to 3 different images of the coins. So one coin will be kind of the main session coin, one will do breaks, and one will do long breaks. And when those coins are not needing to be used, they will be hidden. So you'll only have one up at a time. So that's what this does, is when the green flag starts, which is how you use Scratch website, it will show this coin, the first one, which does the first session. And once that session starts, it will start doing this bit of code here, which is why it's outlined in yellow. And it's only once you've clicked the sprite. And I did this on purpose because I don't want the timer just to run continuously, count down, and then automatically start your break and you don't know it. So first, it'll set your minutes to 24 minutes. It'll set your seconds to 59 seconds, because, you know, the second you click it is already a second, right? So you started at 24 and 59. And then we're going to go into our first loop, and it's a forever loop, and it does a few things in here, so we'll go through one at a time. It waits 1 second, and then it'll change the seconds number by -1. So that's how we get this countdown over in this area to the right. And it will turn the image 6 degrees. So 6 degrees every second will be 1 full rotation after a minute, which kind of works out pretty cool. And then after it does that, it's going to check for more things. It'll be our first if statement. So if, can I scooch this guy over? Here we go. That'll work. If minutes is greater than 0 and seconds is equal to 0, then you're going to subtract a second, or subtract 1 minute, sorry. And all that's doing is making sure that your countdown is working. So right, I've got 15 minutes now. I've been letting it run for a little while I've been editing. And so as long as it's over 0, and we have now equaled 0, which means 1 full minute is up because we've gone from 59 seconds down to 0. We're going to subtract 1 minute, and then we're going to reset our seconds to 59 seconds. And it's going to keep doing that until minutes equals 0, and then seconds equals 0. But if it hasn't met this condition yet, we're not even going to look at it. We don't even look inside of here unless this condition's met. So right now we're going to run this, and then we're going to go way down to the bottom. And only if everything else has been met, because this is inside of this same one of equaling. So really all this one does, for the majority of the time, it's going to run here, it's going to check these, and it's going to bounce to the bottom, and it's going to go back to your forever loop. And that's all it's going to do. Then once it gets to 0 and 0, then it'll start checking more things. So first it'll check if your session number is greater than 3. If it is greater than 3, then that means you're going to be into Unchartadoro territory, because 4 sessions greater than 3 equals a long break. And then once you complete the long break, that's how you increase your Unchartadoro. So if it's greater than 3, it's going to broadcast long break. And all broadcast means is it's going to signal to anything that's listening that it's on a long break. And so first it's going to broadcast it. Then it's going to say time for a long break for just a second. We will set our session number back to 0, and we'll change our Unchartadoros to 1. And then we're going to hide this sprite because we don't want to click on it and start this code again, right? So we're going to hide it, and we're going to stop this whole code running. Now since we've broadcasted long break, it's going to jump to the long break code. And that's the third coin. And then we're kind of jumping around here. But that's what that broadcasts to. Now if we're at 0 minutes and seconds, but we are equal to or less than 3, so not meeting this condition, we're going to go down here, and we're going to say take a 5-minute break for 1 second, and then we're going to broadcast break. And we're going to hide this sprite again so we don't click on it, and it's going to stop all this code running. So now we'll go to the next step, which is the break coin. So there's 2 different little bits of code here. The first is listening for that broadcast message of break, and it's going to check forever. So that as soon as that's broadcast, it will show this coin. And the reason we want it to show this coin is so that we can start our break. Our break code is very similar to our session code, but it's going to be shorter. And so I'll scroll over here and zoom in a bit. All right. So we have wait for when clicked, because I want to make sure that their session doesn't start without them. So you start it. It starts our countdown. We have the same, very similar forever loop, where it does the countdown the same way, it turns the coin the same way, and then once it gets 0 and 0, it'll broadcast break done. And it will hide the coin, and it'll increase our session number by 1, because 25-minute session and a 5-minute break equals 1 session. And it'll say 25 minutes of adventure for 1 second. And this is just kind of signaling to the user that we're now going on to the productivity time, and adventure is very Uncharted. And we stop the script. So the thing that's listening for break done to be broadcast is back over here in our original one. And I've just got it over here. And it's always listening for break done, because once that's done, it's time for another 25-minute session, and it will show itself. And the same thing. We'll run through this again. And once this is done, and we actually get to the long break, it will broadcast long break. It'll take us to the third one, and it'll be a 15-minute timer, and it'll do the same thing. So all the codes really functioned very similarly once I got them figured out and got them communicating with each other. Setting the time, doing the countdown, rotating the coin, checking to see if you're done, and then telling somebody else you're done, and then hiding that image because everything happens when you click that script. And that's pretty much how I made it. I actually did all of this coding first with this little ball image over here and just some tweaking it and messing around with different colors and all that. And then once I liked it, I moved it over to the coins. And so you may be wondering where the coin came from, and that's actually going to be the last bit of this video, which is just a little time-lapse video of me making this artwork to make my own little Uncharted productivity timer. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you end up making your own, and I'm certain there's better ways to do this, but this is the way I figured it out, and I feel like I learned a lot more tinkering with it and creating it than just following another tutorial or anything like that. So that being said, maybe don't watch this video. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and if you want to see more projects like this is episode 4 of a series of episodes I'm making where I make one Uncharted project a week for all of 2025, resulting in 52 projects. My video upload schedule lags a little behind the projects, but I'm completing one project a week. And so if you are interested in seeing more Uncharted projects, please consider liking and subscribing. So this is just a time lapse of how I did the drawing. First I was going to try and just do it from scratch, but then I realized really I just wanted a good image for the program I was working on in Scratch, and I don't plan on selling it or making any money from it. So I really just ended up taking a picture of my Uncharted 4 guidebook and tracing over it and doing kind of this cel shaded artwork that I really like, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Thank you if you made it this far in the video. I really appreciate you. This is one of my first coding projects and my first coding Uncharted project, and there are definitely things I want to improve, having a pause button, maybe having a sound go off when it's break time. There's definitely ways it can be improved on, but I'm really happy with this first draft of my Unchartadoro, and I have linked below where you can see it in Scratch. So if you actually like this and you want to see better images of the coding, you can search Unchartadoro by Doodlebomb or follow the link below, and you will be able to peek inside the coding, and you can use that as a reference or whatever you like. Thank you so much for watching.